My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours. We're a music podcast that chats to artists, musicians and creatives on their songwriting craft and upcoming projects. I'm your host Simon Fink and welcome to episode 243. We've got such a special episode today. We originally spoke to Pale Waves back in April of 2021 when their second record, Who Am I, came out. They're now finally touring Australia in support of their third record, Unwanted, and frontwoman and lovely human being Heather Baron-Gracie returned to the pod for a chat. Before we go any further, please go and subscribe to the podcast if you're not already. Make sure you're across all of our socials as well, which can be found within the show notes of the episode, and give them a follow. We announced yesterday that the second episode of our YouTube series is coming out this week, featuring none other than the incredible queer pop band Moona. We went record shopping with them while they were in town. It's a very fun episode, so please make sure you subscribe to all of our channels to keep up to date. As mentioned before, our guest today is the incredible frontwoman for UK pop-punk band Pale Waves. It is Heather Baron-Gracie. The band released their third studio record, Unwanted, last August to critical acclaim, and the record sees the band continue to build on their pop-punk sonics while adding other textures into the mix as well. It's definitely an album for fans of mid-2000s Avril as well, which I am, which we also discussed with Heather. She was kind enough to make some time for us on a Sunday afternoon after the band's soundcheck to have a chat about the record. In today's episode, we talk about the songwriting process within the band and how that exactly works. We're talking about the personal nature of some of the songs on this record, Unwanted, and why this album might be a little bit more darker than the previous work from the band. Heather and I discuss whether she can write on the road, and there is some news in terms of a potential fourth record and what it has in store for fans. It's very exciting. We also talk about her tour experiences and how she's found Adelaide so far, because that is where we spoke to her when we were having this chat. The remaining tour dates for their Australian tour can be found within the show notes along with their social media links and where you can listen to the record. And we also want to say a massive thank you to Rachel from Dirty Hit for her help with this episode. Here is our chat with Heather Baron-Gracie from Pale Waves. Please welcome back to This Song Is Yours, Heather Baron-Gracie. Welcome to Australia.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
No, my absolute pleasure. I know, as you and I were just discussing a second ago, that this is the first show, but you have played already in Australia as of yesterday. I think it was the Super Fun Day in Brisbane.
Yeah, a super fun day in Brisbane. Very, very hot.
Not as hot. Not used to the hot weather when playing gigs.
Oh gosh, no, we did a tour in summer with 5 Seconds of Summer. How funny. And that was across America, and we went to places like Texas and stuff, and the heat was just unbearable there. But I think yesterday was probably the worst.
Do you find that it's a lot more difficult to play when you're kind of trying to battle that?
100%. I think so anyway, because I feel like it's already physically so much, like singing and, you know, entertaining and running back and forth on stage, that when you add that heat and humidity, it's almost like you can't breathe enough. That's what I struggle with. But I like the sweatiness of it. But
it's rock and roll.
It is rock and roll, yes, it's true. Maybe I'm just whining too much. I don't know.
No. As you mentioned as well, you've come off like just flying into Australia, so there's jet lag involved as well. I can appreciate that it's probably a lot all at once.
Yeah, it always is when we come to Australia, just because it's so far away. So I feel like, we just really have to push through, because we always want to put on the best performance. Mm-hmm. But when you've been up we were up since 6 a.m. this morning and we flew here already. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow, when you go on stage at like 9:30, you're just so like, what's going on? My body's so confused.
Have you had a chance to rest at all today? Are you guys sleeping at all, or is it just adrenaline that's kind of getting through so far, and caffeinated beverages?
And yeah, that's actually a herbal tea. Oh, yeah, I know. I'm really not that exciting. I'm sure the rest of my band will be on, a lot of exciting beverages, but for me, it's just herbal tea. I'm quite calm.
Look, there's nothing wrong with that either. I've got a nice water here, so look.
There we go.
Staying hydrated. You are here in support of the brand new Pale Waves record, Unwanted. Came out in August last year. Firstly, congratulations on the record.
Thank you.
How are you feeling? It has been, where are we, 6 months now since it's come out?
Yeah, I feel like it was received so well, and our fans seem to love it so much, and they seem to really appreciate and enjoy kind of hearing that more alternative sound of ours. And I feel like it makes for a better show as well, because those songs are just so fun to play live. It's just like everything's turned up to volume 10 and everyone, including us in the room, are just having so much fun with it. So I feel like, it's done what I expected it to do.
That's, of course. Well, it feels like you're almost kind of celebrating or promoting 2 records at once, because I think the last time you and I spoke, it was over Zoom. It was 2021, I think around April, just after Who Am I came out.
Yeah,
Do you feel like you're promoting 2 records at once, or having to cram everything into this kind of experience this time
around?
Like
the set list tonight, it's very much a combination of all 3 albums, because we don't usually come to Australia because it's just so far. We love Australia and we wish we would be able to come more, but it is very far. So I feel like everyone who's coming to these shows, I imagine they want to hear a mix of all the albums. So we've kind of just like spread the set list out evenly.
Mm-hmm. Look, I know that there's a lot of fans very excited for tonight and for the rest of this tour. I know you've only got a week in Australia. Before we dive into the album, have you got much planned for your time here other than the shows, or is it kind of in and out?
No, well, I'm staying 2 extra days in Sydney.
Very nice.
Doing all the touristy stuff. Because I feel like when we fly so long, like I did this with Japan as well, it's such a long flight that I don't just want to get on a flight back. And so I want to like extend my trips always. But the day before that, when we flew in, because we landed at 5 a.m, I went and held a koala bear.
How was that?
It was an amazing experience. I wanted to take it home. Honestly, I felt like I was the mother and it was the baby. It was so sweet, so sweet. I just wanted to hold it all day, but it was surprisingly quite heavy.
Deceptively heavy, right?
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I hope I can hold it long enough. And then I fed some kangaroos, and that was really cool. And they were really hungry, like just quite forceful, really.
Yes, they'll do anything. They'll do anything.
I know. That was really cool, though.
Was that the first time that you've had the opportunity to kind of meet the wildlife? When was it?
No, so when we came here the first time, we did go to like a zoo, a sanctuary kind of thing, but I never held any of the animals or like interacted with them. So it was really fun to do that.
That's incredible. I love that.
I really felt like I was in Australia.
Yeah, welcome. Yes, honorary Australian.
Yeah.
I do want to, if allowed to talk about this new record, because it is an incredible record. I feel like it adds to the incredible discography that Pale Waves already has. And as you mentioned before, I think it has resonated with fans in a really incredible way. I feel like it kind of built on Who Am I and has added some different sonic textures while still remaining very Pale Wave sound. How quickly, with the pandemic going on, did you guys decide we're going to write another record after putting out Who Am I?
It was pretty fast, actually, because we figured we can't go on tour right now, so we might as well utilise this time and just get back in the studio and just prepare for a new album instead of just sitting about. And we were so bored. We wanted to do something. So it was kind of like the perfect opportunity to just make music. And it kind of helped us in a way, though, too, you know, being able to just be in the studio with each other and just create something fresh and something fun. And I'm really glad that we did that, because we kind of got that out of the way, and then as soon as we were able to, we could go back on tour again.
Was there much discussion of what the new record, after you've just released one, is there much discussion on what you want to do differently, what you want to add to a new record, or is it just kind of found as you go along in that process?
I think we did kind of discuss it. We knew the kind of direction we wanted to go in, and that was, you know, more alternative. And I think that was purely from the fact that we were so deprived from being on stage that we didn't really want to write kind of like slow acoustic songs or anything like that. We knew that's not the direction that we wanted to go in. And so I think that really just kind of pushed us to write these kind of like fast, driven songs.
100%. Even the, what is it? I think it's the third track in The Hard Way. Even that has an acoustically
exactly.
kind of driven
Builds.
song. Builds and then explodes, which is incredible.
Exactly, yeah.
If comfortable talking about it, I know that song does have a bit of a personal catalyst to it, I guess, if you will, in that it was inspired by a friend's passing. How do you approach writing something that has such a deep and kind of personal meaning to that? And then, I guess, actually, I'll ask that first and then I'll ask the second half in a second,
Yeah, it is really difficult because it's not only my story, but I feel like it was their story even more. It was their story, and it's more the pressure of, like, getting it right and doing it justice. And I felt like that was a big weight on me to do that and to do it right. So I would say, yeah, that was probably the hardest song to write. Emotionally, yes, but also I felt like I had a responsibility to do it well. So I feel like I had to constantly keep going back to it and looking it over again, thinking, oh, can I make this better, or does this really explain how I'm truly feeling? And I would say, yeah, that song has the most thought that has gone into any song on Unwanted.
Mm-hmm. With the sonics of it, is there much, again, because it is so personal, I imagine that it's almost like not that you don't want to share it with the other band members, but you want to make sure that it is perfectly crafted and put out the way that you wanted.
Yeah.
What's the discussion like when you're, because it builds and then it just explodes. Was that also from yourself telling the band how you wanted it to sonically kind of appear, or was that put in, or kind of come from later?
Well, to be honest, that song was wrote with just me and my other friend who's a writer, and because I felt like it was such a personal song that it was hard for me to, really let anyone in, because I feel like it was such an experience that I couldn't really explain to anyone else. So the band just knew that, and they kind of just gave me that space and understood that that's what I needed, and then they loved it. So they were happy with it.
That's awesome. I love that.
But, like any time I'm always like, do you want to change anything, or do you think anything could be different? And they just felt like it was just already what it was meant to be.
100%. Is that, I guess obviously with each song it's always going to be different, but is it usually yourself bringing the songs in some kind of form to the band and then fleshing it out?
Yeah, 100%. Just because that's just the way it's always worked. We've tried other ways. We've tried every single way you can imagine, like getting in a room and just all of us just playing whatever, and it just doesn't work. We're just not that kind of band. So, yeah, the majority of the time I'll either bring a full song, either done, finished, or I'll bring like a song really stripped back on my acoustic, and then we'll speak about it. Or me and Kira will think of something together. So it really varies, but yeah, it all kind of stems from my head and my stories and everything. Yeah. And I think they really truly want that as well.
I think that there's obviously a level of trust that they
Yeah.
have in you as a songwriter and a band member that you're going to...
Exactly, yeah. Definitely.
With this new record, I think, when we spoke previously, you had kind of recorded half of Who Am I in a studio together and then half remotely.
Yeah.
This time around, I imagine that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but you're able to finally be back in the studio together and record together.
Well, no, we actually didn't. It was kind of like a bit of a mashup as well because COVID was still going on with Unwanted.
Of course, yeah.
Like it was still, I think I was recording Unwanted when I was just getting the first boosters and the jabs and all that. And so, when I started, because I was in LA and Kira was in LA, but the boys were in the UK and they wanted to stay in the UK. But I like going to LA to write and to just like get into the album kind of zone, because I feel like a lot of people that I enjoy creating with are over there, and I have family over there as well, and it's just kind of nice to go back and forth. So the borders were shut and we just made it in. And then that's why it was kind of a bit of a mashup again. But this next album, I am determined to have every single one in the room, because that's what I want. You know, I want the whole band there, and that's when I feel like we're in our element.
We look forward to that record.
So no more pandemics. There best not be anything right now.
Touch wood.
Yeah,
we're
touch
not going
wood.
to see any form of future pandemic. With these songs, and I know that we've spoken previously that I guess the platform that you have in terms of both lyrically speaking very honestly about your feelings and I would also previously spoken about the power that you have as someone from the queer community and how you write.
Yeah.
With these songs this time around, is there a song that you're most proud of on this record that kind of, obviously they're all your babies, but one that is possibly the favourite or that you kind of have the most connection with, if you will?
I would say The Hard Way in general.
This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first, call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee with your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 an order. Additional terms apply.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
That I feel like I'm the most proud of. But in terms of the queer community, obviously Clean, I mean, this album was more so channeling feelings of anger, neglect, jealousy, a lot of the darker sort of like feelings in life. So I feel like there definitely was, queer moments in there and, discussing my sexuality, but there wasn't enough looking back, I feel. And I think that was just because, I don't know, you always reflect on what you've done. And so this next album, I'm making it the ultimate gay album.
Fantastic.
It's going to be very, very queer. The most queer sort of piece of work we've ever put out there. And because I feel like we've really, truly not embraced that fully enough yet. Well, that's how I feel. We have, like, She's My Religion, but those are always the moments that stand out to me live. Yeah. And I feel like that's what our fans want. They want me to, represent them, because that's what everyone always wants. They want, I want someone that's going to represent me and that I connect with. And so I feel like that's what truly connects with our fans the most. So I need to give more of that. And it's quite intimidating, and it took me a while to get there, but I feel like now I'm really comfortable with my sexuality and myself, that I'm able to do that.
Mm-hmm. I find that really interesting, only because previously, as mentioned, She's My Religion, I feel that Pale Waves were quite a bit of a, I want to say like groundbreaker in terms of, not representation in terms of that larger word, but as you mentioned, being represented and having someone who is able to vocalise an experience for someone.
No, I definitely think we do that. Mm-hmm. I just want way more.
Yeah.
I just feel like we haven't given enough yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, that is very exciting. I'm looking forward to this fourth record. Are you someone who can write while on the road?
Yeah, I am, but it's more so like me on my acoustic. Mm-hmm. It's hard, it's difficult because it's just chaotic and there's people around all the time. But I'm kind of learning to do so, but it's a much slower process. But I've already got a few songs.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Any chance that Australian audiences, while you're on this tour at the moment, going to see any live debuts or teasers or?
Oh God, they're not that.
They're not that far along.
No. This is just demos that I've sent to the rest of the band. Mm-hmm. I would love that. That would be really fun.
There's still some dates left. I'm just going to put that out there. But
I'll get them back up in soundcheck in a minute, learning the parts.
I think that the fact that you are back in Australia is very exciting. I think the previous tour was in 2018, and I know obviously Australia is a very long way away, and we know that as well, so we're very appreciative when artists do come and tour here. Obviously, it's only been yesterday that you've been able to experience the crowd this time around. What was the reaction, other than hot, what was the reaction like from the crowd there?
It was really good, like for a festival, and we've never played Brisbane before, ever, so I really didn't know what to expect. To be honest, I didn't expect anyone to know Pale Waves there, but there was quite a lot of people that did know us, and there was a big sign that said I flew all the way from Canada for Pale Waves, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's dedication. I admire that, truly. So it was actually really fun, and we met a lot of people afterwards, and that was really cute, and I'm just excited for tonight.
Have you seen much of Adelaide while you're here? We are in Adelaide. I should have mentioned that at the start of the podcast, but have you seen much of the city? Or
I went to the museum, actually.
Oh, what did you think?
It was really interesting. There's a lot of history on Australia and a lot of things that I didn't know, but I guess that's what museums are for. And then I walked around, I'm guessing, the city centre, and I went to this amazing pizza place. I'm trying to remember their name, but it's gone right out of Sally's or something?
Sonny's?
No, not Sonny's.
No.
It sounded very Italian.
Oh, I'm not certain of...
Anyway, it was amazing. Mm-hmm. If I remember the name, I'll tell you later. And then I went to a chocolate place, what you guys are known for or something.
Hague's?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Thoughts?
And really good. I got a hazelnut. I love hazelnut. Mm-hmm. Little chocolate, and then some other chocolates, and very good.
Lovely.
A lot better than American chocolate.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of American chocolate at all. Sorry if any Americans are listening to this, but you don't have good chocolate or cheese or bread.
Oh,
I could go on, but you have a lot of positives though, but not chocolate.
We don't have much. Is this the first time in Adelaide?
Yes, first time ever, yeah.
Interesting. It is, we are obviously a bit of a smaller town, but we do have Sia is from Adelaide originally.
Really?
Yeah, we've got that going for us, but she left as well, so it's not really going
she
for
bailed.
us. Yeah, she left. I'd love to know as well, I guess, in terms of not just the hard way. No, you mentioned Clean before. That was the other track that kind of stood out on the record to me. In the press, it's been spoken about a lot with yourselves, so I don't want to keep flogging a dead horse, is the sonics of the band and the album. I know that the wonderful Avril Lavigne is always referenced.
Of course. Yeah, she is.
She's a queen.
Absolute queen.
I'm not certain if it was the band's music before, but I heard Michelle Branch being played in a different room.
Yes, yeah. I love Michelle Branch so much.
What is it called? What is that album called? The Goodbye Room or the Something Room.
With the blue front cover, yeah.
That's the one, yes. I guess sonics-wise or influences-wise, what was going, other than Queen Avril, what was going through, I guess, the band's headspace while creating this record?
I think it was a lot of records that we grew up listening to, like Blink 182, Good Charlotte. Fun fact, we recorded at the studio that they own, so they would come in to the studio and like just sit down and give me these like long, deep conversations about like just being an artist and life. And wow, truly amazing. Like such mellow, down-to-earth guys.
I've heard that about the
very cool.
Joel and Benji.
Yeah. Very, very cool. So that was awesome. But yeah, a lot of just records that we grew up listening to, that kind of like alternative pop punk world.
With, I guess, having that kind of, I guess even them floating around, I might just be fishing for, or creating rumours here myself, maybe I'm not fishing for information, collaborations with people from those worlds. So I feel like Pale Waves is doing very well, to the point where a number of artists know your work and what's going on. Has there been discussions of getting...
Well, I really want, because we've not had a lot of collabs, but I really want a lot on this next record. And I would love it if it would just all be like queer artists, like Muna, Fletcher. That'd be so fun. So who knows, if it's the right song and they like it, then, we've got ourselves a collab.
It's very interesting you say that. We only 2 days ago sat down and had a chat with Muna and spoke about collaboration.
The great people, aren't they?
Lovely, lovely, lovely people. And they said a similar thing in terms of like almost having like an album just full of, that showcases the incredible work of queer artists. And now I'm wondering, because everyone's being very coy, whether there is any possible collaboration between yourselves, or I'm still fishing.
Well, I'm hoping. I'm going to reach out at some point. When I've got the song that I feel like they would like, I'm definitely going to reach out. I think they're great.
With that in mind, do you then try and songwrite outside of the usual Pale Wave structure, if that makes sense? Instead of...
I feel like us and Muna aren't that drastically different. There's a lot of, similarities. And I feel like we have a crossover between fans. So I feel like maybe they're more of like that kind of our first album kind of music, because they're quite like 80s, they love the synths and stuff, but
of course
it's quite similar, in terms of our sonic style. I feel it's not too far off each other.
I had a bit of a mental blank and forgot that the first record is somewhat more, I guess, electro-based and could fit in quite well with
definitely
with a Muna record.
Yeah,
incredible.
I love Muna. I'm a fan.
Look, both on the same page in that regard. You are here in Australia for another week. What does the rest of 2023 look like for Pale Waves and for yourself, Heather?
So it's getting the 4th album together, even if that's just wrote, even it doesn't have to be recorded yet. Actually, no, I lied. It does have to be recorded this year. So when I go back home, finish the album in terms of writing, hopefully this is what I'm planning, and then we've got a bunch of festivals back in the UK, and then we go into recording the album.
That's very exciting. What festivals have you got lined up while you're...
We're playing like Glastonbury. Oh God, I can't remember off the top of my head. It's terrible. I don't even know where I am tomorrow. I have to look at my phone in the calendar and I'm like, oh, there we are. I keep having this blank, like, shit, what country am I in? when I'm walking around here today. You honestly just forget when you tour so much.
Where was it? I was listening to in preparation for today, listening to some previous interviews and media that you'd done.
Yeah.
And I know that pre-pandemic, I think it was yourself and the band almost did 4 years straight of touring.
Oh, yeah, that was exhausting, though.
Tried to find, the pandemic, although terrible, put that aside, is that it provided a bit of a break and I guess a balance for yourself.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Have you been able to find, I guess, the right way to balance touring now and that, I guess, making it a little bit easier for yourself?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I needed to live a normal life to be able to come back into this touring environment and do it in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. Whereas before, I wasn't, at the end of it especially, I wasn't doing it healthy at all. And whereas now, I'm completely sober and I get up at a normal time. Sometimes I'll do yoga or I'll take myself out in the city. I'll go to the gym and, I come here, I do sound check, go on stage, and then I come down and just kind of... It's really boring, actually. It's not. I'm not a rock star at all.
Self-care is very important.
Exactly. Then I take my makeup off. I do my face routine. Sometimes I do meditation. I drink my green tea. I still try and join in with the parties, but I feel like I really needed to give myself a break because my body was just not having any of it anymore, and I was looking worse for wear. Whereas now, I've got my shit a bit more together.
I'm very glad to hear that.
Me too.
Usually, Heather, we would ask, I guess, what they're currently listening to. While you are on the road, is there anything at the moment that's currently just on high rotation for yourself?
Yes, Kelsey Ballerini. Is it Ballerini?
Ballerini?
Kelsey?
The country?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, she just released an EP and it is so good. There's one song on there called Penthouse and it's just incredible. It's about her divorce and it's just so honest and so vulnerable and it's just captivating. I can't stop listening to it. I think I have an addiction to that EP.
I know you mentioned before, very quickly, because I know we will wrap things up in a second, but you mentioned that all the songs kind of stem or start from an acoustic guitar.
Yep.
And with the mentioning Kelsey now, is there anything you'd ever look at maybe going down a more, maybe it might be a solo project thing, but a more country-esque or...
Well, I would love that, genuinely love that, because that is what I, at heart, adore the most. Like, if you look at my iTunes, it's just all, like, either really acoustic, sad music or country music. That's all I listen to, really. With partly, you know, like the alternative records that I love, like Hole and stuff, and Liz Phair, that 90s kind of era. But that's where I really kind of thrive, I feel. So I would love to, but I don't think it's right for Pale Waves.
Look, very fair. Maybe we'll see something in the future, who knows? Yeah,
maybe I'll do like a little side project where I can just... Because I have a lot of songs, but they're just not right for Pale Waves.
Yeah. No,
and so, yeah, maybe sometime in the future.
That's very exciting. I'll take that piece of information. That's fantastic. Heather, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. And congrats on the new Pale Waves album.
Thank you very much.
The most powerful designer drugs are the digital ones we use daily. And we get high off them. When touch, tap, like, scroll at a time. You know, just like tech creators want us to. Use digital without digital using you. Learn more at sync.ithra.com.